Hello, book lovers, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, I'm Beth, and welcome to Boo's Book Nook. Booktok, we all know about it, and I will spend hours upon hours scrolling and scrolling, liking, favoriting videos that are all about books, which means my TBR is massive. And when I say massive, my current physical TBR is 155 books. It's a problem. I am so easily influenced. If I see a TikToker telling me that a book is incredible, I'm going to want to buy it and then I'm going to want to read it. And that's great when the series that you buy or the book that you buy that has been recommended to you is great. For example, I have the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. This is my favourite YA fantasy read. I have no words for it. I only picked up Powerless because I saw it on TikTok. And it was fantastic. And 100% worth that hype. But sometimes you get a lot of misses. And books that other booktokers have recommended to you aren't really your thing. I have had a couple of those where the premise sounds really good, but it's just not up my alley, which is okay because remember, reading is different for everybody. Reading is opinionated. Just because one person likes a book doesn't mean that you have to like that book. And we don't hate on each other for the reading. Okay? Anyway, tangent over. One of those series which I didn't particularly like, which I saw all over Booktok, all over Booktube, all over Bookstagram, was the Magnolia Park series. Now, people have been obsessing over that series, and I wanted to jump on that bandwagon. It just wasn't for me, which is okay, but I was really sad that it wasn't for me. It was just, in my opinion, the relationship was too toxic that I didn't find it enjoyable. But I know some people love that drama. It wasn't a good read for me. Today, I'm going to go over a series of Booktok recommendations that I think are worth the hype, in my opinion. A series that a long time ago,
way back many centuries ago.
I'm delirious, I've been at work all day. I got recommended this series a few years ago now, and it was when I was first getting back into reading. And that is this series, the Dreamland Billionaires series by Lauren Asher. This was the first lot of books I've read by Lauren Asher. I know she's got different series before and after this one, but I loved this. These are romance novels, and that's not usually my cup of tea. I like a good romance, especially in the summer, but having a romance series, I don't usually go for it. I don't usually pick up. I usually go for standalone romance. But when I heard the plot of the first one, so the fine print, I jumped at the chance of this one. If you don't know, I am a Disney girl through and through. I love Disney, obsessed. And when I heard that this was actually very similar to that and relates around somewhere called Dreamland, similar name. It follows Rowan, who is a part of this business and is one of the CEOs of Dreamland. Then we also meet Zara, who one day gets a little bit drunk, has a few beverages, and she writes a complaint about one of the rides at Dreamland that's supposed to be a really popular ride, but she was absolutely slating it. And Rowan sees this and he thinks, you know what, I want to meet this person. And you can tell then the storyline goes from there. We've got a bit of like a Grumpy Sunshine-esque through this, and it was really enjoyable. I binge read this. Lauren Asher writes in such an easy to read style. You just find it flows and it is easy to just pick up and read. You don't have to think too much, which I always really enjoy about a romance and a book like this. I also really enjoyed the characters and how the character development that we see through this. And I think this is definitely my favourite out of the trilogy. They are quite similar, following different characters in each book. There is a little bit of an overlap between the books as well. I will say the final offer, it wasn't my favourite book. I think it was my least favourite out of the three, but it was a nice ending to the trilogy. There was a lot of hard topics that were discussed and quite relevant, and topics that really resonated with me because it was so realistic that it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So if you are going to read it, just double check the trigger warnings. But overall, this was a solid 4.5 star series for me, just because it was so enjoyable and readable. I definitely think it was worth the hype, in my opinion. The next series that I think is 100% worth all of the hype around it is the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Once again, another trilogy. This one is a fantasy fairy tale style trilogy. It's beautiful. I love this series. So much so that when I read the first one, I just had a copy of Once Upon a Broken Heart. And as soon as I finished this, I was like, Amazon can't deliver the next one soon enough. I need to read the next one now. And so I bought it on Kindle and read the next one straight away. These are stunning, and look, the covers are just gorgeous. This follows Evangeline Fox, who is a girl head over heels in love with a boy who is getting married to someone else. And she wants to stop that marriage. So she makes a deal with the infamous Prince of Hearts. And she soon realizes that making a deal with a fate is one of the worst ideas. There are always caveats to making deals with them. We follow her throughout all three books, her journey where we meet more fate, so many different characters. There are even vampires. Yeah, I know, vampires in this. And Stephanie Garber, she the only way to describe her writing is magical. It has this kind of like ethereal flow, and it's stunning. You are immersed into the world that she creates and you don't want to leave it. It literally feels like you were in a fairy tale, which, as a girl who loved fairy tales when she was a child, reading a book series when you're older is just, it's stunning. And I really want to do a reread of this just thinking about it. There are plot twists, there are cliffhangers. I do have to say, though, A Curse for True Love is the final book in the trilogy. I was quite disappointed with the ending. This did let it down a little bit, which I'm so sad at. This is quite a common opinion over on Booktok and social media. I've seen that people think the same as what I do, which is such a shame, but I still love the series and I would still definitely recommend it to you because it's beautiful. A series that I have seen on Booktok for years. I feel like the hype of this series has never gone away. Whereas sometimes a series gets really popular and then it just fades into the background. This series crops up all the time, and especially as the author is now releasing another book which is related to this series. And that is the Shatter Me series. I know they're not in order and I really apologise. Triggered much. I'm so sorry if I triggered you. The Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. This is, I think, one of the most bingeable series I have ever read. It's a YA dystopian series which has so many different elements in this. It's apocalyptic. It's almost realistic in the way that I could see this series happening in real life. We see the decay of the world and how everything turns a bit derelict and forgotten, and there are these different factions and groups of people, and it's just so interesting. And it follows our main character of Juliet, who has this power where if she touches someone, they are instantly in agony and she can lead to their death by just this touch, which is why they throw her into a jail and lock her up, because she's dangerous, until one day she is freed and people want to use her as a bit of a weapon, and things move on from there. We have politics, we have love interests. There are so many different powers that these people have developed, like Juliet's. And it is so interesting to follow these characters. I went from hating some characters to then suddenly loving them. And it goes on such a journey that Tahira Mafi, she writes so well that once again you're immersed in this world and you can see loneliness and the emptiness, and you can feel the characters' emotions and feelings. Just a thoroughly well thought through series that flows, and the storyline is interesting and engaging. So excited for the next one that comes out, which is Watch Me. It's almost, you don't have to think when you're in the writing, you are just in there and on the edge of your seat. I really, really enjoyed this series. Definitely think it is worth the hype. My next series is one that actually I think is a bit underhyped. It was quite popular on Booktok for a little while, but then I don't hear anyone really talking about it at all now, which shocks me. It is fantastic, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is a high epic fantasy, which was sold to me by someone saying that this is the female version of Lord of the Rings. Yes, I'm going to pick that up if you're going to say this. This literally sees kingdoms at war with each other and the females in power trying to save the day. It's great. It's brilliant. There are mages in this. There are dragons, dragon riders. There is war. There is fighting. It is, as they say, an epic fantasy. Samantha Shannon, her world building is unparalleled. It is so immersive that, once again, like the other book series I've said, you are thrown into this world. You are living in this world when you start reading this book. You can see the characters, you can see the kingdoms that you are in. Just her descriptions and the way she uses her figurative language is stunning. That I love it. And I really love when authors do that, when they actually describe and show you what the place looks like rather than just tell you. That's my style of writing, right down to a T. I love that style. I know it's not for everyone, but for me, I love it. And especially as this is a chonky book. This is over 800 pages long. It is no small feat. It is massive. It didn't feel that way when I was reading it because of the way Samantha Shannon writes it. I loved the characters. I loved the world building, the story, the plot. Gorgeous. I think this is my favorite. I'm going to say it. My favorite high fantasy read. I've said it. I've done it. I've said it. It's official. Well done. Well done. If you love fantasy, if you love The Lord of the Rings, if you love writers like Brandon Sanderson, go for this. And dragons. Dragons are amazing. They are the elite. I love dragons. I know what you're going to be saying. You're talking about Booktok books, and I haven't seen one Sarah J. Maas book come up? Well, hold your breath. Here it comes. Sarah J. Maas is so popular everywhere. Her ACOTAR series, the Throne of Glass series, the Crescent City series. It is everywhere. When I was first getting into reading, those were the series that were thrust in my face. Oh, you like fantasy? Read these. And I did. I started off with ACOTAR. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that series. But then I read the almighty, the unbeatable Throne of Glass series. There are 8 books in this series, and some of the end ones are chunky. There's Selena Sardathian, who is an assassin. Oh, sold? Yes. And she's invited into the castle to be a part of a deadly competition to fight for the right to be the king's champion. There are a whole mix. There are murderers, there are thieves, there are warriors, and they are in deadly battles and challenges. So Powerless-esque, Hunger Games-esque, but think bigger. But there is something else that is happening in that castle. Something evil lurking and causing issues. And it's killing off some of these competitors. And Selena is fighting for both to be the king's champion and her freedom, but also for survival. Throughout this series, we go on such a journey. Such a journey. And I love so many characters. I'm just thinking back. We go on such a big journey with these characters that I think I spent a good few months just reading this series solidly. I didn't read anything else because I couldn't escape. So when I finished this final big chunky Kingdom of Ash, I was heartbroken. This series has me in a chokehold. Sarah J. Maas writes characters incredibly well. The development of the characters through the series and the different arcs, the love interests, just it's so cleverly written, and how all the characters are intermingled and they go on different journeys and you're in the same timeline but different places with different characters. It's just put together so cleverly and brilliantly. Because it is YA, it is of course not as high fantasy, so not as insane world building and different languages and magic systems that you have to 100% learn. There is an element of realism in this one, and there's an element of creatures and things like that that we already know. I am a closed door romance girly. I don't mind a bit of spice if it's tasteful, which is what I struggle with the ACOTAR series. By the time we get to A Court of Silver Flames, it was just too much. I had to skip some scenes. But this series focuses on that tension, the romance, and that is what I love. The romance, the building up of that romance, and the giggles and the heart flutters. This series, it made me laugh, it made me cry. One of my favorites. I think I've said that about all these series, but 100% worth the hype, in my opinion. Let's remember. Those are the 5 series that Booktok recommended to me, and I believe are 1,000% worth that hype that they are given. Let me know in the comments if you've read these series and if you think they're worth the hype or not. Thank you so much for watching this video. And remember, it's just my opinion, so don't come for me. These are the series that I love, and I'm not going to change my opinion on them because they have my heart. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in another video. Bye.